How online payments work. Buying something online usually feels simple. You click a button, enter your card information, and a few seconds later the purchase is complete. Behind that quick confirmation message, however, a surprisingly complex process has taken place. Several different companies and systems communicate with each other to move money from the buyer to the seller. Banks verify accounts. Payment networks route the transaction. Security systems check for fraud. All of this happens in just a few seconds. So today we are going to walk through how online payments actually work and what happens every time you press the Pay Now button. Chapter 1: The main players in an online payment. Before looking at the process itself, it helps to understand who is involved. There are usually 4 main participants in an online payment. First is the customer who is making the purchase. Second is the merchant selling the product or service. Third is the issuing bank, which is the bank that issued the customer's credit or debit card. Fourth is the acquiring bank, which is the bank that processes payments for the merchant. Between these participants sits the payment network. Companies such as Visa or MasterCard operate these networks that connect banks and process transactions. Chapter 2: Entering payment information. The process begins when the customer enters their payment details on a website or app. This might involve a credit card number, expiration date, and security code. Some systems also allow digital wallets or stored payment methods. Once the payment information is entered, the website sends it to a payment gateway. The gateway acts as the secure bridge between the merchant's website and the payment processing system. Its job is to encrypt the data and forward it safely through the payment network. Chapter 3: The authorization request. After receiving the payment information, the gateway sends an authorization request to the payment processor. The processor then forwards the request to the appropriate payment network. The network identifies the issuing bank that provided the customer's card. It then sends the authorization request to that bank. At this point, the bank checks several things. It verifies that the card is valid. It confirms that sufficient funds or credit are available. And it may run fraud detection checks to ensure the transaction appears legitimate. Chapter 4: Approval or decline. Once the issuing bank finishes its checks, it sends a response back through the payment network. The response is either an approval or a decline. If the transaction is approved, the system reserves the necessary funds from the customer's account or credit line. If it is declined, the transaction stops at that point and the purchase does not proceed. This approval process usually takes only a few seconds. From the user's perspective, it simply appears as a confirmation message on the checkout page. Chapter 5: Authorization versus settlement. One interesting detail is that the money does not move immediately during the authorization step. Authorization simply confirms that the funds are available and reserves them. The actual transfer of funds occurs later during a process called settlement. Merchants often collect many approved transactions throughout the day. These transactions are then sent in batches to the acquiring bank for settlement. The payment network coordinates the transfer of funds between banks. Eventually, the merchant receives the payment in their account. Chapter 6: Payment gateways and processes. Payment gateways and processes play important roles in this system. The gateway handles the secure transmission of payment information from the website to the processing network. The processor manages the technical connections between banks and payment networks. Together, these services allow online stores to accept payments without directly managing the complex banking infrastructure themselves. Many online businesses rely on specialized payment service providers to handle this part of the process. Chapter 7: Security and encryption. Security is a major concern for online payments. Sensitive card information must be protected during transmission. Most payment systems use encryption protocols that scramble the data while it travels across the internet. In addition, many merchants follow standards designed to protect cardholder data. Some systems also use tokenization, which replaces the card number with a unique identifier during transactions. These measures help reduce the risk of unauthorized access to payment information. Chapter 8: Fraud Detection. Another important layer in online payments is fraud detection. Banks and payment processors analyze transactions to detect unusual patterns. For example, a purchase from a new location or unusually large transaction may trigger additional verification checks. Some systems may request additional authentication from the customer before completing the payment. These systems attempt to balance security with convenience so legitimate purchases proceed smoothly while suspicious activity is flagged. Chapter 9: Digital Wallets and Alternative Payments. Online payments are not limited to traditional card numbers. Digital wallets such as mobile payment systems can store card information securely and provide it automatically during checkout. Some platforms also support bank transfers or other alternative payment methods. Although the user experience may look slightly different, the underlying systems often follow a similar process involving authorization, network routing, and settlement between banks. To wrap up, online payments involve several participants working together to process a transaction. The customer enters payment information which is sent through a secure gateway to a payment processor. The processor forwards the request through a payment network to the issuing bank. The bank verifies the transaction and either approves or declines it. Later, the funds are transferred through the settlement process so the merchant receives payment. This entire system operates quickly so that online purchases can be completed within seconds. From the customer's perspective, online payments appear almost effortless. You click a button and the transaction is complete. But behind that simple interaction is a coordinated system involving banks, payment networks, security protocols, and transaction processing technology. Understanding how those pieces fit together makes the modern digital payment system a little less mysterious and a lot more impressive. This has been a mini Leviathan production. If you enjoyed it, check out our other videos. Comment below what other topics you would like us to cover. See you in the next one.